Good morning, everyone. This is Omar with your Bitcoin market update. Let's get right to it. This morning, we saw a major move in Bitcoin. We saw the price jump up by $4,000 in an hour. Significant move in, probably one of the biggest moves in Bitcoin's history. Just to put it into context, it took 8 years for Bitcoin to get to the $4,000 level. And this morning, we just saw it jump up that amount in an hour. So truly incredible. And this is something that we should continue to see as the price moves into new territories. The moves get bigger and the moves go both ways. It goes up and it goes down. There's a saying that Bitcoin takes the escalator up and the elevator down, and we're certainly seeing that. But today's move, pretty dramatic. So we hit a high of 55,300. And right now, as I record this, we're sitting at about 54,300, 400 at this point. How did this happen? Why did this happen? A couple of things. Late last week, we saw testimony from Jerome Powell in front of Congress indicating that he has no intention to ban Bitcoin. That shouldn't come as a surprise. They never had any intention to ban Bitcoin, but there is always this fear that something like Bitcoin can overtake the traditional system. And I think that's why people see it as a threat, and they assume that the state will combat a threat like that. But, we still live in America. We still have our freedom to invest in instruments and securities and assets that we deem appropriate for our individual needs. And, Bitcoin is no different than really anything else that you can invest in. So not a surprise. We're also seeing that there's a general narrative taking place that inflation is here to stay. Not a surprise again. The Fed was saying that inflation was going to be transitory. Anyone that really monitors these things and understands how inflation plays out throughout history knew that, obviously inflation isn't transitory as long as the Federal Reserve continues to have, very eased policies like printing new dollars into the economy and keeping low interest rates. So, inflation is definitely not appearing to be transitory. What the Fed is going to do next really depends on how they kind of foresee future economic conditions. It's worth noting that as they continue to ease, the impact of the easing has less and less of an effect. And, this is the beginning of what we see in hyperinflationary environments. So something to look out for. Also very interesting is that the price is up while Bitcoin price is up while the stock market is down. That's a divergence. I've not seen that. This is the first time I've seen that. Yesterday was the first day, today the second day. So that's a trend to continue watching. There's also been a sentiment shift amongst Wall Street banks. There's really no one else left to capitulate at this point. Pretty much every Wall Street bank is buying Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin, and promoting ETFs that will provide even more expanded access to trading Bitcoin, just like any security. So I'm expecting to see an ETF approval either this quarter or next. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes this quarter. And I think some investors are speculating that we would see an ETF, and that will open the floodgates to capital and bring Bitcoin to levels that we can only imagine. Let's shift now to some data. So I'm showing you here. This is the price action. We can see here. I've got the fib on here. Let me remove that. And we can see that we hit the high of 65,000 in April. If I draw a trend line from the high to the next high, the next local high, we'll see that we just broke out of it. We broke out of it yesterday. How this runs up and where this runs to is anyone's guess. I don't see the price coming down anytime soon. We never really even hit the lower trend line here. So if I draw a line from the old low, let's take it from here to out here, right? We kind of stayed above it, and I think that's a lot of bullish sentiment. I think this was a fight between the bulls and the bears, and a fight between sophisticated investors that really understand Bitcoin and those that haven't been adept to the cycles and how it works and how the supply crunch works and haven't been doing the on-chain analytics. I think the most sophisticated investors have been holding a price up and really contributing to the supply crunch that we're seeing play out now. We've been talking about the supply crunch since I think mid-July. The supply crunch is not going to have a direct impact on price immediately, but it is going to have a later impact, and I believe we're seeing that now. Next thing I'm going to show you is Bitcoin dominance. This is really important because Bitcoin dominance, when you see these green candles here, what it's telling you is that people are leaving alts. They're abandoning their altcoins, and they're coming into Bitcoin. And this is kind of a flywheel that once it starts to spin up, there's really no stopping it. Not unexpected again. We expected to see it at this point in the cycle. As Bitcoin runs, there's not a lot of altcoins that have a lot of real loyalty. A lot of the altcoins, a lot of the investors in altcoins are really speculators. And speculators generally don't tend to have a lot of loyalty because at the end of the day, the problems that a lot of altcoins are solving are not as meaningful as a problem that Bitcoin solves. So you have a lot of really entrenched investors in Bitcoin, a lot of loyalty in Bitcoin. This creates a base of support that investors can come into, and we're seeing this now. So this is running up. This is a percentage. So right now, if you take the entire crypto market, Bitcoin represents 44.5% of all capital in the market. It used to be much higher. It used to be, we're looking back in December, and it was 74%. So, you think about coins like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. As capital comes in, it takes away from the dominance of Bitcoin. But, we see short spurts where we always see short spurts where, these random altcoins just kind of pop. Eventually, a lot of that value comes back into Bitcoin as Bitcoin runs up for different reasons. Either Bitcoin becomes stronger or people lose faith and lose trust in, the projects that they were invested in. So another metric to watch. I'm going to shift now to the stock to flow model. I use stock to flow as kind of a weather vane, a guide to tell me what the price is going to be doing over very long periods of time. Bitcoin has these cycles. Stock to flow, for those that don't know, is a model of way of predicting price based on scarcity. What it doesn't account for is demand, but we can figure out demand from sentiment, from narratives. We can look at the blockchain and see how strong demand is at certain points of time and predict when we may see demand. And we were predicting demand in the fourth quarter. The demand might be here. Is it sustained is the big question. Right now, the price is about $107,000. That's the stock to flow price. Think of that price as a gravitational pull. I believe we are well on track to, getting Bitcoin's price pulled to the stock to flow price and then overshooting it. I would say, between now and March or April of next year, we're going to see prices well above 100,000, potentially $200,000, $300,000, maybe more. The way it works is as we move forward in time, it's kind of like climbing a hill. You get a new horizon, you get a new perspective, and you're able to make, new kind of forecasts on where the price is going to be. Based on on-chain data. I'm not a big proponent of technical analysis. Sometimes you can use technical analysis. The thing about technical analysis is other people are using technical analysis. So if other people are using technical analysis to make their trading decisions, then you could kind of think that they're going to make a decision. So how do I kind of front run that decision by, kind of beating them at their own game? But on-chain data is the signal through the noise. So, that's why I like to use on-chain data, and certainly has boded very well to get us to the point where we are today in terms of what we're seeing in terms of performance of Bitcoin. So that's it for my update. I hope to have another update for you next week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them across.